dogs now out here, so we're not going to be, we're flooding. We're not going to be doing any riding today, but I wanted to at least get the big battery into the bike so we could see how it fits and just power it up, and we can do some dyno runs at the very least. We'll see. Here it is. As you can see, the big battery fits in the stock location as if it were stock. It's just a lot bigger. We're jumping up again from a 35 kilowatt, I'm sorry, I keep saying kilowatt, amp hour. Jeez, I just gotta stop and think about this. We're jumping up from a 35 amp hour battery to a 58 amp hour battery. So it's a significant change. We're gonna be increasing the range on this bike, and we're also gonna be increasing the power capabilities on this bike, because the stock battery is really only good for about 12.5 kilowatts of power, and this battery should be good for up to 30 kilowatts of power. So this is a significant exchange, I should say. So it's a little heavier, but worth it. You got that much more range and that much more performance. So we'll charge this battery up now, and maybe we'll put it on the dyno. Let me put the panels back together and see how everything fits, but so far it looks good. Okay, so we're on the dyno now. We've got the big battery, we've got the controller, the whole Motoclops setup is on here. We're gonna go ahead and make a pull. I'm gonna put it on Sport Level 9. This is the top. We'll see what this battery is capable of, and just see what the gains are. With the stock battery, we were able to pull around 11.5 horsepower. There might have been a little bit left on the table, but that's the safe limit. And also we were able to go over 85 miles per hour. I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna stop the pull at around 65, 70 miles per hour. That's the safe spot for the stock motor. But we'll see what the power is at that point anyway, because it should be a pretty significant update. So let's go ahead and see what this setup is gonna do on Sport Level 9 right now. All right, so the first test showed us a peak of around 13.2 horsepower all the way across. So another 2 horsepower gained on top of the stock battery. So if you're looking at that as a percentage, we're almost a 20% change in power. It's almost a 20% gain in power just by updating to a bigger battery, which again has almost double the capacity. It's crazy. With a 20 amp hour extra capacity at the same voltage. So realistically, we should be getting a huge gain in range. I mean, we're talking about going from 35 to 40 miles with the stock battery to nearly 70 miles on a single charge now, with an extra 2 horsepower over the stock battery on tap, which was already 2 horsepower more with that extra controller. So you're talking about an extra 4 horsepower or 40% gain, actually more than 40% gain over stock, 45% gain over stock power. So a very large increase in power across the board. That's going to translate to huge acceleration gains. And this is the conservative setup, I'm going to say, considering that these parameters are what have been selected as safe for this motor, for this setup. And when it stops raining, we'll take it for a ride and see what this all translates to on the road. Okay, now we're out here with the big boy battery. We're able to use sport mode, level 9. We got a nice full charge. And we're gonna see just how this battery feels compared to the stock battery. Now, remember, it's the same voltage, so we really shouldn't be getting too much more power. It's not like it's a huge difference, but we did see an extra 2 horsepower on the dyno when we put this battery in and put it in sport mode. So there is an extra bit of power on tap, and we don't want to hit that cutoff on the stock battery. The BMS on the stock battery is going to cut us off right in that 12 kilowatt range, and with this battery we're now accessing over 14-15 kilowatts. So there's extra power there that should translate to a lot more acceleration and maybe a little more top speed. So we'll see. We'll get to the road and see what it does. All right, so now we're out on the road. We're gonna see what this feels like in Sport 9. I got the GPS set up, so we'll be able to compare it, and I'll just go for it. Let's see how it feels. Acceleration is nice. You can see the difference there. It's most obvious in the acceleration. Once you get up over like 50-55 miles per hour, don't really see too much of a difference. And you have to remember that we are pushing this motor. This motor doesn't necessarily want to rev that high. So we're going close to 70 miles per hour. That's our limit. We don't want to see more than 70 miles per hour. But acceleration feels real nice. I'm gonna go the other way now. I feel a little breeze, so just want to see if the wind was stopping us there, but we saw 68, so let's go back the other way and see. I believe 68 was our highest before, so now let's see what the other way looks like, and we'll do basically the same exact run again. Battery showing 98%. All right, here we go. Acceleration is nice. Gets going. That's nice. Pull over here. How about that, guys? 71.8, so 72 miles an hour essentially. 72, that's plenty fast on this thing. So if you take those two into consideration and you look at it both ways and average it, you got a tiny little breeze, obviously, like I said. So, it's a 70 mile an hour average, both directions. That's great. 70 miles per hour, we hit our goal, 72 max there. It's not that breezy. It's not like you can see the trees moving or anything, but I felt a tiny bit. I can feel it's a little breeze, so I figured we'd go both ways just to average it out. And there it is. So this is a 70 mile an hour bike. This setup is fantastic. I really do enjoy making, you know, the most out of these machines, and this setup really helps bring out the most, what I feel is the most of this bike. This bike from the factory is a 45-mile-an-hour bike, and we've measured it at 9 horsepower, and now we're seeing 13.5 horsepower, almost 14 horsepower, and the speed is way up. As you can see, it's over 70 miles per hour. So this is a battery and a controller. Everything else is stock. Just a battery and a controller, and you've just transformed this bike into a real good road going bike that you could take on a long ride. This battery is also, not only is it making 40% more power, 45% more power, but we're also having a 40% bigger capacity. Remember, the stock battery is a 35 amp hour, and this is a 58 amp hour. So we'll be able to ride like this. I mean, we're still at 96% with 2 huge blasts of top speed. We could do that all day. We could do that essentially, you know, 100 times, if you will. So I'm gonna go ahead and just ride it a little bit more and enjoy the ride. But man, what a nice setup. So let's go ahead, keep on spinning. The weather's coming in. I can see some rain on the horizon over there, so I'm just gonna ride as much as I can. Maybe we'll put a few more miles on it and see how she feels. Really cruises nice, 40-45 miles an hour. Doesn't feel like it's, you know, laboring at all. Doesn't feel like I'm holding up traffic. I can speed up if I want to, no problem. With a set of road tires, if we got these knobbies off of here and put a set of supermoto wheels or something like that, this thing would be perfect for commuting. And the range, I mean, probably go 80 miles with this battery with this setup. 50, no problem. So if you had a 20-mile commute, 25-mile commute, you'd be in it all day, no problem. Especially if you're not going 70 miles an hour the whole time, obviously. If you want to maintain a highway speed, 70 miles an hour, maybe you're only going to get, you know, 30, 35 miles. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that. But for surface streets like this, where you're just able to cruise at a nice, even pace, no problem at all. No problem at all. Great fun. Awesome setup. I can enjoy this all freaking day. She's punchy. Phew, just made it back. The rain just started. I got sufficiently soaked pulling in. But we are back. I got a few more miles riding on it. And I was just hammering it full speed, 60 plus miles per hour that whole time. Put about 10 miles on it, and we were down to about 80%. So not a bad return. Really happy with this setup. Long story short, the bullet points are 45% increase in power, 40% increase in capacity on the battery. I keep saying 40% on capacity. It's 60%. My brain is malfunctioning, sorry. And the speed goes from 46 or 47 miles per hour, I think we were able to hit stock, up to 72 miles per hour. So big changes there. Acceleration, way better. Power, going from 9 horsepower to essentially 13.5, almost 14 horsepower. So figure around 4.5 to 5 horsepower gain on this setup. And you've got an excellent bike. You go from a really cool bike, as it is stock, to a really nice cruising, quick bike that you don't have to worry about doing any kind of junk, holding brakes and hitting rocket buttons or none of that. Still has reverse, as you can see right here. Everything works as it should. Got your egg rider display, shows everything you need to see, and that's the gist of it. Huge shout out to Motoclops for sending me this setup. If you're interested in this, check out the link in the description and go check out Motoclops and see if you can get yourself the same setup I've got. Ask for it by name, tell them you saw it on this channel, and they'll set you right up. See you guys in the next one.